What if I told you that the discipline you've glorified isn't the true key? That your early wake-ups, your cold plunges, your relentless journaling, all of it means nothing without law. Would you believe it? Have you ever asked yourself why you still drift even when you're doing all the right things? Why you break your own promises even when your will seems unshakable? Why does success favor others who seem less disciplined than you? This message will reveal the answer. You'll understand why a man who relies solely on discipline eventually crumbles, why effort without a governing law folds under pressure, and why your life only changes the moment you declare a standard that surpasses emotion, outlasts motivation, and stands firmer than willpower. Solomon wasn't led by routine, he ruled by decree. Ford didn't wait on motivation, he built on command. Edison didn't ask how he felt, he carried out what he decided. I'm going to show you how to create your inner constitution, how to craft your code, issue your commands, and become unshakable. Because what you need isn't more discipline. What you need is law. And once you grasp this, effort becomes effortless. You stop trying to become someone, you become him. Law, rewards, authority. Discipline won't rescue you, it will drain you. You can rise before the sun, repeat affirmations, resist urges, and still live in lack. You can stick to routines, write diligently, schedule down to the minute, and still float aimlessly. Why? Because you never established a law. You never proclaimed a command your soul would follow, no matter the cost. You're relying on willpower when you should be upholding a covenant. Discipline looks like structure, but law is structure enforced from the soul. The disciplined man moves when it feels right. The lawful man moves regardless. The world remembers the second. It forgets the first. The man of law doesn't hold himself together. He is the structure. His actions aren't habits, they're orders. His day isn't managed, it's commanded. Let me say it straight. You're tired because you're trying to manage your actions when you should be commanding your future. You're trying to fix your life with effort when only law can govern it. Discipline bends under pressure. Law hardens under it. Law holds where discipline snaps. Look at the icons you revere. Edison, Ford, Lincoln, Carnegie. Were they just disciplined? No. They were governed. They ruled their attention. They mastered their time. They wrote their law, then enforced it. That's what made them untouchable. They lived like they had a constitution etched into their bones, and they never broke it. Today, the world celebrates routines, morning rituals, hustle, but these are merely shadows. The real force lies in the man who removes emotion from execution. He doesn't rise early because it's trendy. He rises because it's law. He doesn't write when inspired. He writes because it's law. He doesn't eat for pleasure, speak carelessly, or waste hours because his law forbids it. Law clarifies. It removes indecision. You're tired because you still ask, should I go to the gym? Should I work today? Should I finish this? But the man of law asks nothing. He moves not by mood, not by deliberation, but by command. And hear this, the only man who becomes free is the one who binds himself to his vision. All others serve opinions, distractions, failure. The one who writes law governs himself. The one who doesn't is governed by everything else. I'm not speaking of laws passed by governments, religions, or culture. I'm speaking of the law written on your soul. The one that governs your rising, your rest, your strategy, your execution, your silence, and your speech. That law is your essence. Everything else is noise. In this message, I'll show you how to write it, how to turn your discipline into rhythm, your mood into order, your energy into precision. I'll teach you to declare a standard so high that failure cannot breathe near it. And I'll show you why Ford, Edison, Lincoln, and Schwab weren't just men who pushed through. They were men who obeyed law. That's why they couldn't be shaken. The world is filled with grinders who burn out. But it's built by those who act without hesitation, who speak little, plan precisely, and execute daily as if it were already decided, because it was. You weren't made to perform. You were made to declare. You weren't made to cope. You were made to command. And you weren't made to wait on discipline. You were made to replace it with law. Say this with me. I do not live by mood. I live by law. I no longer worship discipline. I write law, and I obey. My life is not managed. It is commanded. You've been deceived. You were told that early rising, journaling, reading, and enduring would make you powerful. But I've seen men wake before dawn and still live in mediocrity. I've seen men sweat every day and never rise because they never had law. Their discipline was motion without meaning. Their effort, performance without command. A man can act from pressure or he can act from power. Ask yourself, what do you obey when no one is watching? A schedule from a book, a quote you shared for pride, or a law carved into your soul so deeply that breaking it would feel like betrayal? The disciplined man doubts himself daily. The man of law is unmoved. Discipline is where most run when they feel weak. Law is where the few go when they're ready to transform. One relies on pressure. The other is built from identity. Discipline requires force. Law creates its own. Edison didn't merely endure, he commanded his days. He lived by a code of labor, rest, testing, and reflection, not because a coach told him to, because his law required it. His law said, I am an inventor, and everything else submitted. You are not exhausted because your goal is too great. You are tired because you're trying to do with discipline what only law can carry. You're dragging yourself through habit when you should be infused with identity. Discipline maintains, law transforms. So I ask, what laws govern your life? Not your goals, not your dreams, not your routines, your laws. What rules your rising? What code shapes your diet, your words, your rest? What have you declared sacred, untouchable by emotion? You say you work hard, but is it from law or guilt, from vision or repetition, from devotion or noise? Let me give you a picture. Discipline is a soldier. It must be ordered. But law is the king. Without a king, the soldiers scatter. They fight, but don't conquer. They burn, but don't win. Write your throne before you summon your army. There's a reason most men collapse. They depend on accountability, on plans, on dopamine. But these are chains of straw. When the storm hits, they snap. The man of law doesn't need outside force. His soul is bound to his word. He doesn't break when weary. He acts because his word is unbreakable. Edison didn't become great by luck. He failed over 10,000 times, not because he loved struggle, but because his law said show up. Every mistake was fuel, every setback data. He wasn't merely disciplined, he was governed. And what about you? You journal, but do you live what you write? You rise early, but do you honor that time or perform it for pride? You read, but do you extract law or quote for applause?
Let me make this clear. Effort without direction is wasted. Energy without structure is punishment. Motion without code is drift. You must no longer tolerate drift. You must turn discipline into law, or stay a man who moves but never rises. Let me show you how to begin. Choose one action that must now become law. Maybe it's rising at a fixed time. Maybe it's studying your chief aim aloud each morning. Maybe it's recording your wins and lessons every day. Write it as law. I rise each day at 5:30. I study my aim. I act with clarity. I do not delay. Do not ask how you feel about it. Do not wonder if it works. Declare it and obey it for 30 days without fail. Then double it. Then triple it. In 90 days, you won't be trying to become the man, you will be him. Law rewards. Say this with me now, not as hype, but as command. Effort without direction is wasted. My actions are not forced. They are enforced by law. I do not perform. I govern. Now let's go further. Let's construct the throne from which you'll never plead for change again, but demand it. No man holds power without a central law, and no law is greater than the one that rules your soul, your definite chief aim. Every discipline must serve it. Every structure must point to it. Until this is written, you are not yet a commander. You are still a servant of scattered will. Discipline is not the start of power. Declaration is. Discipline may make you consistent, but only law will make you certain, and certainty is the seed of every empire. Understand this. You cannot outgrow the clarity of your aim. If your goal is unclear, your path will be shaky. If your aim is soft, your actions will be hesitant. But once your aim is definite, your days become sacred. Andrew Carnegie gave me one instruction that changed my life. He said, write your aim, speak it aloud, obey it like the law of God. He didn't say try harder. He said declare it with force and live by it no matter what. Most men avoid this because it forces a decision. And when a man chooses, he must abandon the comfort of drifting. Discipline lets you feel accomplished without confronting the fear of commitment. But law demands clarity. Law exposes vagueness and annihilates it. Listen closely. Your definite chief aim must be specific in outcome, emotional in weight, commanding in tone, timeless in focus. It is not a hope. It is not a goal. It is a covenant. Here's the difference between the disciplined man and the man of law. The disciplined man says, I'll try to build a business. The man of law says, I will build an enterprise that impacts 1 million lives and earns $10 million by 9. One wishes, the other commands. And you must not write this once. You must study it like scripture. Recite it twice daily, morning and night, not as affirmation, as law. Your mind won't respond to what it hears once. It will obey what it cannot escape. Say it until it becomes breath, until it feels foolish, until it becomes your identity. Let its tone reshape your voice. Let its spirit push all distractions out of your day. You say you crave freedom, then define it and write it as law. Your aim is not motivation, it's alignment. If you don't declare what you're building, the world will build it for you. You'll follow their timelines, their fears, their urgencies. But the man with written aim walks with holy disobedience, defiant of drift, immune to noise, untouched by the pull of lesser men. And remember this, your aim must be spoken, aloud, so the world can witness, not for their approval, but because law is public. Kings didn't whisper decrees, they declared them, and so must you. Speak now, not as one who hopes, but as one who commands. I do not guess, I declare. My aim is law, and I bow to it. My morning begins in clarity, my evening ends in obedience. And once this is written, your need for discipline vanishes, because now your days are ruled by law. While others wonder what to do, you rise and act on what's already decided. Let us continue. Let us now write the non-negotiables that will uphold your law, your 5 commandments. What causes hesitation, doubt, delay in a worthy task? It's not pressure, not fatigue, it's choice. Discipline brings you to the moment. Law removes the debate. Discipline says do it. Law says there is no other way. Men suffer because they still ask. They still deliberate. But the man of law does not ask. He acts. He doesn't get slowed by questions because the answer was written before the pressure ever came. And this, my friend, is the secret to unshakable inner peace, eliminated choice. Most people believe freedom means having more choices. But the wise understand, real freedom begins the moment choice is removed. When the path is narrow, when the order is final, when the standard is set in stone, immune to emotion, discipline wonders. Should I wake at 5 a.m.? Law answers, I rise before the sun because that is the command of who I am becoming. Discipline says, maybe I should eat clean today. Law replies, I eat what fuels my mission, nothing less, nothing more. One hesitates, one enforces. Think of Abraham Lincoln, not the most charismatic, not the most admired, yet he was led by a moral law that no crowd, no army, no pressure could bend. He faced roaring demands for compromise and still moved forward as if guided by something unseen. That force was law, and it gave him clarity in chaos. Now ask yourself, what are you still debating that should already be decided? What part of your day still relies on your mood? What behaviors still depend on how you feel instead of who you are? That's the place where your law must be written, and it must be written in 5 domains, the 5 commandments that uphold your ultimate aim. Morning law, when do you rise? What must be done before the world can reach you? Morning law, thought law, what thoughts do you reject? What truths do you meditate on instead? Morning law, speech law, what words no longer have a place? Gossip, doubt, idle talk? What declarations will you speak instead? Morning law, where will your hours go? What are the non-negotiables tied to your mission? Aim law, how will every action, every choice, every plan align with your greater vision? These must not be written in pencil. They must not be vague. They must be declarations, firm, final, and absolute. Because your subconscious does not obey suggestions. It only obeys what is beyond question. Say it aloud. Peace begins when choice ends. I do not ask how I feel. I obey what I have written. My law delivers me from the burden of indecision.
Picture a builder arriving at a construction site. If he asked each day what he felt like building, the house would never rise. But if he arrives with a blueprint, and that blueprint becomes law, then every beam has purpose. Every brick carries intention. That's how a life is built. You're not here to experiment. You're here to eliminate uncertainty. You're here to replace willpower with structure, to move beyond being a man of discipline, to become a man of law. No longer should you be someone who tries. From this moment forward, you are someone who enforces. The only voice that matters is the one you wrote, and the one who follows it without exception will not only walk in peace, but will walk in power. Let's go further. Now that you've written law, you must know where it originates, not from external control, but from internal authority. Any man can be obedient when someone is watching, but the man of law obeys when no one sees. Discipline can be imposed. Law must be embraced. Discipline chases a reward. Law is its own reward. And this is the tragedy of modern men. They confuse occasional effort for transformation, when true transformation only begins when law is engraved in the soul. You can be trained into discipline by a coach, a commander, or a looming deadline, but you are not truly free until you govern yourself, until the rules you live by are not echoed from others, but declared from within. The man of law does not need a supervisor. He is commander and soldier in one. He is self-governed. Discipline can rise from fear or pressure, but law is born from identity, from saying this is who I am and this is what I do. Period. The man of law does not negotiate with himself. He moves as commanded by his own word. When Charles M. Schwab rose to power under Carnegie, it wasn't because someone told him what to do. It was because he told himself and then obeyed. He followed commands, but they were his own. That's the difference. That's law. Now examine your life. What do you only do when someone's watching? What do you abandon when no one praises you? That's where discipline still rules, and law is absent. And wherever law is absent, drift enters.
A man of discipline will wake early one day and sleep in the next. He'll train when inspired and skip when tired. He'll write when the mood strikes and quit when resistance appears. But the man of law does not consider how he feels. He does not wonder if today is hard. He does not hope. He executes. Say it now. I am the judge and the servant of my own law. What I declare I do. I am not ruled by the world. I rule from within. If a man does not write his own law, he will always be bound by the law of another. You see it daily. Men ruled by alarms, deadlines, apps, and calendars, not because they chose them, but because someone else did. And when the pressure lifts, they crumble, because they never developed their own spine. But you are not that man. You are no longer waiting for rules. You are writing them. You are no longer borrowing discipline. You are building structure. You are not waiting to be told. You are now the one who commands. This is not self-improvement. This is sovereignty. Say it clearly. I declare law for my life. My word is my structure. My code is my crown. And understand this. Once law is established, life becomes lighter, not heavier, because real law eliminates guilt. It silences confusion. It ends the daily battle of indecision. There is no more asking, no more negotiating, only execution. The man of law moves with clarity. He sleeps in peace. Why? Because today's actions were decided yesterday, and tomorrow's steps are already chosen. He does not wake in chaos. He wakes in obedience. And the reward, freedom, strength, vision, consistency that outlasts feeling, legacy that outlives motivation. You become untouchable, not because of brute force, but because you are fully aligned with your own command. Let this truth cut deep. The world does not move for the man who tries. It moves for the man who obeys the law, his own law. You're not here to try harder. You're here to enforce what is already true. Let us move forward. These aren't suggestions. These aren't tasks to try. These are laws. And the more you repeat them, the more they take root in your identity. And the man who lives by identity doesn't waste time wondering who he is. He moves with certainty, and that certainty shifts everything. Never overlook the strength found in simple obedience. A man who follows through on one law with absolute commitment holds more power than a man with 50 dreams and no follow-through. Simplicity is where true strength begins. Repetition becomes the foundation of dominance. And obedience to law, that is sovereignty. Say it aloud. I have written my law. I obey it without question. I don't need motivation. My law governs me. I rise because I have declared it. I move because that's who I am. From this point forward, this is your command. Nothing you do is optional. What is written is executed. And with every act of obedience, your spirit calms, your anxiety fades, and the chaos around you loses power because now you are governed. Let others chase emotion. Let others wait for the mood. You build law. You embody it. And from that structure, you will command results, command clarity, command legacy. This is where identity merges with destiny, because what you consistently obey becomes who you are. No one stumbles into greatness. No one arrives at mastery through bursts of energy. You rise through structure. You become your future by obeying in the present. And the laws you enforce today, they become the life you live tomorrow. A man is not defined by what he hopes for, but by what he obeys without fail. And obedience without standard is directionless. You need a code that doesn't flex under pressure. This is the way, because what you repeat daily, deliberately, without waiting for a feeling, becomes your identity. When Napoleon Hill received his assignment from Carnegie, he didn't wait to feel qualified. He didn't ask for clarity. He acted. He built a law and followed it through poverty, through resistance, through being unknown. And that obedience shaped him. And the same applies to you. If you obey confusion, you will live in it. If you obey delay, you will dwell there. But if you obey law, you rise above the fog. You become the man who no longer apologizes for who he is, because who he is has been shaped by unshakable standards. Say it with conviction. I become what I repeatedly obey. Law reshapes the man until the man shapes his future.
I do not drift. I live by divine design. Who you are today is a result of what you accepted yesterday, and who you'll be tomorrow. That depends on what you obey now. This isn't poetry. This is law. What echo do you want to send into the world? Will your name fade into silence or stand as a foundation? Identity isn't discovered. It's constructed. It's not handed to you. It's declared by you. And now you must live like your destiny depends on the law you speak every morning, because it does. The lie is this: I'll become who I'm meant to be. No. You will become who you command yourself to be. No one drifts into mastery. No one stumbles into excellence. Everyone who rises has written the law they follow. You will now build your daily ritual. Speak your law aloud in the morning. Review it in writing throughout the day. Align every decision to it. And if you fall, rise again with more force, more precision, and zero excuses. The world cannot stop the man who obeys his own law. He is rare. He is unshakable. He doesn't ask. He acts. And it's conviction, not talent, that leaves a legacy. Edison wasn't Edison because he had more energy. He was Edison because he didn't negotiate with the process. He acted on law while others paused, and that rhythm became the identity that changed the world. Now you understand. Obedience isn't weakness, it's mastery. The man who follows his own standard is already free. He doesn't ask for clarity, he is clarity. Say it, I no longer hope, I no longer try. I live, my law is who I am, my identity is my future. Let this be the mirror you return to. You will never rise higher than what you consistently obey. Write your law, imprint it into your mind. Do not let 1 hour pass out of alignment. And if the old version of you returns, destroy it with obedience to the new law. This is your turning point. The former version of you is gone. The man you are becoming has no time to wander, no interest in pleasing. He has written the code and now he becomes it. Fully. There is a point where willpower collapses. You felt it. That moment where motivation fades and the day hits hard. And when that moment comes, the undisciplined man gives up. He stalls. He negotiates. He disappears from his path. But the man of law, he cannot be stopped. His path isn't emotional. It's commanded. He doesn't rise by accident. He rises because he must. His life isn't optional. It's structured. And that structure holds when the storms hit. Discipline can carry you, but only to a point. You must finish with law. Discipline is a tool, but it can falter. Law does not falter. Law does not care if you're tired. It doesn't ask if you're afraid. It moves, and it drags you with it. Most men fail, not from lack of drive, but lack of structure. No inner government, no code, just effort and emotion. And when emotion collapses, they fall with it. Edison didn't push through thousands of failures because of motivation. He succeeded because he was governed by law. His identity was tied to his system, not to applause. He obeyed what he committed to, and that's why he built what others never could. Except this, the man who writes his law and follows it becomes untouchable, because nothing external can shake what's enforced internally. His strength is not public, it's personal. His power is not shouted, it is structured. Want transformation? Then stop relying on willpower. Stop measuring your energy. Start building your law. Want to reshape your body? Write the command, I train at this time. No excuses. Want to build wealth? Command it, I build during these hours. No negotiations. Want to refine your voice? Declare, I rehearse every day. No matter what, your future is starving for structure. Your life is waiting for law. You will not build a kingdom on scattered effort. You'll build it on holy repetition. Speak it, obey it, repeat it, become it. Say this, I am not disciplined. I am commanded. I follow what I wrote, not what I feel. I no longer drift. I live by law. And if you fall, return to that law. That's the difference. The disciplined man stumbles and asks why. The man of law returns to his foundation. His structure stands and pulls him back into alignment. The builders of history lived by law. Moses brought commandments. Solomon ruled by decrees. Jesus spoke scripture. Lincoln acted from moral code. Edison worked by pattern. Ford executed vision without praise. Schwab imposed order through relentless rhythm. They weren't just visionaries. They were enforcers of law. If you want to join their ranks, then write your law. Obey it with finality. Stop guessing. Stop feeling your way through the day. Stop consulting your emotions. Command your standard and become the man who enforces it. Here is your task. Write your definite chief aim again. Then tie it to 5 daily laws. 1 for your body, 1 for your work, 1 for your words, 1 for your thoughts, 1 for your time. Then enforce them, not when it's easy, but always. If you fall, return. If you rise, build more. And in 90 days, the man you were will be gone. Discipline begins the race. Law crosses the finish line. So act like a finisher. Obey like a builder. Rise like a man who doesn't need to be pushed because he leads himself. Let us continue. Many start strong. Few finish structured. Many wake early for a week. Work hard for a month. Stay focused for a season. But then fatigue comes. Confusion sets in. The storm hits. And without structure they fall. Fire alone won't carry you. Law is the furnace. Law contains the flame and gives it direction. And when the winds howl, the man of law stays steady. He doesn't fear the gusts. His fire is enclosed by structure.
because he lives by a command stronger than emotion, louder than doubt. The man of law doesn't decide daily who he is. That question was already answered. Now he just repeats it. He doesn't chase results. He enforces the rhythm that brings them. Here's the final truth. Stop idolizing discipline. Start constructing law. Stop leaning on motivation. Start enforcing structure. Don't ask your feelings what you should do. Listen to the voice within, the one that's already written the command. Now do this without delay. Write your definite aim, one sentence, clearly defined. Write it like your future depends on it, because it does. Then declare 5 laws. Law of waking, what time, no exceptions. Law of building, what task, what hour. Law of words, what will you speak and what won't you. Law of thought, what enters your mind, what is rejected. Law of review, when will you audit your alignment. Remind your mind who is leading. Track your obedience. Review your law daily. Ask, did I live it? Did I break it? Why? And how will I return stronger tomorrow?
Do this for 90 days. No waiting. No starting next Monday. Begin now. 1 broken command may happen. 2 is rebellion. Stay aligned. If you do this, you'll no longer look to others to lead you. You won't drift. Your law will become your compass, your foundation, your legacy. Now say this with full conviction. I live by law, not by effort. Discipline serves me. Law governs me. I follow what I wrote. My standard doesn't shift. My law doesn't sleep. My future does not drift. Let the doubters mock. Let the old version of you resist. But the man of law will not be forgotten. He won't be buried with regrets. He will be remembered by his results, because he didn't hesitate, didn't falter, didn't delay. He wrote the law. Then he became the man who obeyed it until the world had no choice but to follow. Discipline brings you to the threshold. Law builds the house and makes you worthy to live inside it. Now go, write it, obey it, enforce it, and become the man that law rewards. Do this for 90 days. No waiting. No starting next Monday. Begin now. 1 broken command may happen. 2 is rebellion. Stay aligned. If you do this, you'll no longer look to others to lead you. You won't drift. Your law will become your compass, your foundation, your legacy. Now say this with full conviction. I live by law, not by effort. Discipline serves me. Law governs me. I follow what I wrote. My standard doesn't shift. My law doesn't sleep. My future does not drift. Let the doubters mock. Let the old version of you resist. But the man of law will not be forgotten. He won't be buried with regrets. He will be remembered by his results, because he didn't hesitate, didn't falter, didn't delay. He wrote the law. Then he became the man who obeyed it until the world had no choice but to follow. Discipline brings you to the threshold. Law builds the house and makes you worthy to live inside it. Now go, write it, obey it, enforce it, and become the man that law rewards.